The night sky above burned orange and red, saw the falling object from his fire station window. It was not a meteor. Meteors did not change direction. This thing slowed down before it crashed into the mountains outside the city. Was a firefighter. He had been one for 15 years. His wife had died 3 years ago, and now he raised his daughter alone. She was 8 years old and waiting for him at home, but duty came first. He grabbed his gear and ran to the truck with his team. They drove fast through the empty streets. The crash site was in a forest clearing, trees knocked down in a circle around the wreckage. The object was a ship, not a human ship. Everyone knew what alien ships looked like now. For 200 years, humans had known they were not alone. The hegemony ruled most of the galaxy. 7 powerful alien species worked together, and they looked at Earth the way a giant looks at an ant. Approached the burning wreckage carefully. The ship was small, maybe a transport or private vessel. The metal was silver and black, twisted from the impact. He heard something, a weak sound, almost like crying. He climbed through a broken section of the hull. Inside he found death. An alien body lay against the wall, tall, thin, with pale blue skin and silver eyes that stared at nothing. The alien wore fine robes, now torn and burned. Some kind of diplomat or noble thought, but the alien was dead. The crying sound came again, followed it to the back of the ship. There, protected by a metal pod that glowed with soft light, was a baby. The baby was alien, the same pale blue skin, the same silver eyes. Small ridges of bone ran along her temples like delicate decorations, but she was crying like any human infant, scared, alone, wanting someone to hold her. Did not think, he just acted. He opened the pod and picked up the baby. She was warm in his arms. She stopped crying and looked at him with those strange silver eyes. Then she grabbed his finger with her tiny hand and held on tight. His team found him like that, standing in the wreckage, holding an alien child. The government came quickly. Scientists, diplomats, military officers. They took the baby and put her in a special facility for study. Went home to his daughter, but he could not stop thinking about those silver eyes. 3 days later, the hegemony sent a message to Earth. They demanded the return of the child. She was, they said, they were the most powerful species in the hegemony, and this child was special. She had markings of the royal bloodline. She was a princess of an alien empire. Earth's leaders were afraid. The hegemony had thousands of warships. Earth had maybe 200. Fighting was impossible. They prepared to return the child. But then a strange thing happened. A young scientist leaked information to the public. The government had not sent the ship. They had tried to destroy it. The child's family had been killed in a political attack. The people who wanted her back were the same people who murdered her parents. The public was angry. Millions of people said Earth should not give up the child to her family's killers. Protests happened in every major city. The government did not know what to do. Knew what to do. He had a friend who worked at the facility. Late one night, that friend opened a door, walked in, found the baby sleeping in a cold metal room, picked her up and walked out. Nobody stopped him. Maybe they did not want to stop him. He drove home with an alien princess in a car seat. Was waiting when he arrived. She looked at the blue-skinned baby with wonder in her eyes. "Is she my sister now?" she asked. Smiled, "If you want her to be." "I do," said firmly. "What is her name?" Thought about it. The government files had called her Subject 7. The hegemony transmission had given her a long name that humans could not pronounce, but she needed a real name, a human name. He said, "Her name is." The next months were difficult. Government agents came looking. His neighbors lied for him. His doctor forged medical records. His mother's old friends from the market provided food and supplies without asking questions. A whole community of ordinary people worked together to hide one alien child. The hegemony sent more demands. Earth's government sent polite refusals. They claimed they could not find the child. Perhaps she died in the crash, they suggested. Perhaps the hegemony's information was wrong. The hegemony could not push too hard. If they admitted they had lost a royal heir, it would show weakness. Other species might take advantage. So they retreated, making quiet threats but taking no action. Years passed. Grew up in a small house near the ocean. She learned to walk on human floors. She learned to speak Korean before she knew any other language. She called, the Korean word for father. She fought with over toys and TV shows and who got the last piece of meat at dinner. She was different. Everyone could see that. Her blue skin did not tan in the summer sun. Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Sometimes, when she was upset, electronic devices nearby would malfunction. Once, when a boy at school pushed her down, every light in the building flickered and died. But the people of her neighborhood protected her. They told strangers she had a skin condition. They taught their children to accept her. When government inspectors came asking questions, nobody remembered seeing any alien child. Knew she was not human, never lied to her about that. He told her the truth when she was old enough to understand. She came from the stars. Her birth parents were dead. The hegemony wanted her for reasons that were not good. But you are my daughter, he told her. Not because of blood, because I chose you and you chose me. That is stronger than any bloodline. Believed him. She had no memory of she had never seen another member of her species. Earth was her home. Humanity was her family. The strange powers that sometimes woke inside her were just inconveniences, like being too tall or having unusual eyes. She was 17 when the dreams began. They came every night, visions of places she had never seen, a planet with 2 suns, cities made of crystal, beings with faces like hers speaking a language she should not understand but somehow did, and always a voice calling her name, not her other name, her name. On her 18th birthday, the dreams became a message. She woke up with words burning in her mind, clear as if someone had spoken them directly into her soul. You are ours. Come home or we will come for you. Sat in the darkness of her room, shaking. Through the wall she could hear snoring softly. Downstairs was probably still awake, reading one of his old books. She was not theirs, she would never be theirs. This was her home, these were her people. But deep inside, a new fear had taken root. The hegemony had not forgotten. They had only been waiting, and now whatever came next would have to face the truth of what she was. She looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there an empire was watching. Somewhere out there her enemies were planning. But here in this small house, her family was sleeping peacefully, and made a silent promise to herself, to them, to the world that had raised her. She would protect them, no matter what it cost. No matter what she had to become. 10 years had passed since the dreams began. Was 28 now, and she had built a life for herself. She worked as a for Earth Space Defense Corps. Her job was to translate alien languages and study hegemony communications. She was very good at it. Languages came to her naturally, as if her brain was designed for them. She lived in a small apartment in Seoul, but she visited every month to see her family. Was getting older now. His hair was gray and he moved more slowly than before, but his eyes still lit up every time he saw her. Had become a doctor, working at the biggest hospital in the city. She was engaged to a kind man named who made excellent food and terrible jokes. Life was good, life was normal, but knew it could not last. The dreams had never stopped. Every few weeks they came, voices calling her, images of the she had never seen, and always the warning they were coming. Earth had grown stronger in the past decade. New ships, new weapons, new alliances with smaller alien species who feared the hegemony, but they were still weak compared to the 7 great powers. If the hegemony truly wanted to crush humanity, they could do it in a month. Had learned to control her powers, the telepathy that came naturally to all, the ability to sense emotions, to read surface thoughts, to connect with technology through her mind. She kept these abilities hidden. Only Admiral, her commander, knew the truth about what she could do. Was a hard woman in her 60s. She had fought in 3 border conflicts with hegemony patrol ships. She had lost her son in one of them. She did not trust aliens, but she trusted. "You are human where it matters," told her once. "In your heart, that is enough for me." Hoped it would be enough for everyone. The hegemony diplomatic mission arrived on a Tuesday morning. 3 massive ships entered Earth's orbit, their hulls decorated with the symbols of the Alliance. They claimed they wanted to discuss trade agreements. Everyone knew this was a lie. Watched the lead ship through the window of the Defense Corps headquarters. Her hands were shaking slightly. She could feel something, a presence, and mind reaching out, searching for her. They knew she was here. The diplomats came down to Earth in a smaller shuttle. There were representatives from all 7 hegemony species, but the leader was. Her name was Riven. She was tall, even for her kind, with the same blue skin and silver eyes as. But where had grown up smiling and laughing, Riven's face was cold and hard as stone. Was assigned to the translation team. She stood in the back of the room during the negotiations, listening as Riven spoke of peace and cooperation. The words were pretty. The meaning behind them was not. Could feel Riven's true thoughts pressing against her mental shields, contempt for humans, impatience, and a dark purpose underneath it all. After the first day of talks, was walking to her transport when she felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned and found Riven standing there, alone. "You have been hiding for a long time, little princess," Riven said in the language. Her voice was soft but dangerous. "Did you think we would forget you?" Answered in Korean, "I do not know what you're talking about." Riven smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Your mental shields are impressive. Someone has trained you, but you cannot hide your blood. I knew what you were the moment I entered this system. The last daughter of House. The final heir to a dead throne." Felt ice in her stomach. "What do you want?" Riven's expression changed. For just a moment, something like regret crossed her face. "I want you to understand the truth. The current rulers did not send this diplomatic mission. They sent an assassination team. I am supposed to kill you quietly and return with proof of your death." Stepped back, her powers rising inside her, but Riven held up a hand. "I said I was supposed to, I did not say I would." Riven looked around carefully, making sure they were alone. "There are those among the who remember your family, who believe you are the true heir. I am one of them. Come with me, princess. Let me take you home. Together we can rebuild what was lost." For a moment felt something strange. A pull toward this woman, toward the world she had never known. She could be a queen. She could have power beyond imagining. She could learn the truth about her birth parents, her history, her people. But then she thought of teaching her to ride a bicycle when she was 6. She thought of braiding her hair before school dances. She thought of every human who had protected her, loved her, accepted her as one of their own. "No," said. Riven's eyes widened. "You refuse. Do you understand what I am offering you? A throne, an empire." "I understand perfectly," replied. "And my answer is no. Earth is my home. These people are my family. I will not leave them." Riven stared at her for a long moment. Then she shook her head slowly. "You are making a terrible mistake. The others in our delegation do not share my respect for your bloodline. When they discover you are here, they will act, and I cannot protect you." "I do not need your protection," said. "I have my own." She walked away, leaving Riven standing alone in the evening shadows. That night could not sleep. She sat in her apartment thinking about everything Riven had said, the assassination team, the true purpose of the diplomatic mission. Earth was in danger and it was her fault. She made a decision. The next morning, the diplomatic talks continued. The room was full of important people from both sides. Cameras recorded everything for broadcast across Earth. The hegemony representatives spoke about friendship between species, and then walked to the front of the room. Everyone stopped. The human diplomats looked confused. The hegemony representatives looked shocked. Riven's face went pale. "My name is," she said, her voice clear and strong. "I am by blood but human by choice. I was raised in by a firefighter named. I have worked for Earth's defense for 7 years, and I have something to share with all of you." She opened her mind. She let her power flow outward, and she projected directly into the consciousness of every being in that room the true thoughts of the hegemony delegation, the assassination orders, the plans to murder her, the secret contempt for humanity, everything. Chaos erupted. The human diplomats shouted in anger. The hegemony representatives tried to deny what everyone had just seen, but there was no denying telepathic evidence. The truth was clear. Admiral stepped forward, her face like thunder. "This delegation is over. You will leave Earth's territory immediately, and you will tell your masters that we know what you really are." The hegemony diplomats fled. Their ships left orbit within hours, running back to their territory. But their final transmission was received by every communication system on Earth. "You have chosen your grave, hybrid. Earth will burn for harboring you." Stood at the window of the Defense Corps headquarters, watching the enemy ships disappear into the darkness of space. Her hands were steady now. She had made her choice, and she did not regret it. Admiral stood beside her. "You know what you have done," the old woman said. "There will be war." "Yes," replied, "but at least now we can prepare. At least now we know who we are fighting." She turned away from the window and looked at her commander. "I am ready to fight," she said, "for Earth, for humanity, for my family." Nodded slowly, "Then let us begin." Somewhere in the stars, the hegemony was gathering its forces. The greatest military power in the galaxy was turning its attention toward one small blue planet. But on that planet, a young woman with alien blood and a human heart was preparing to face them. And she would not face them alone. The hegemony fleet came 6 months later, 12,000 warships from 7 species, stretching across the darkness of space like an ocean of metal and fire. It was the largest military force ever assembled in recorded history, and it had one purpose: the complete destruction of Earth. Stood on the bridge of the human flagship, the Soul's Pride, watching the enemy approach on the tactical display. The numbers were impossible. Earth had built new ships as fast as they could, but they had only 800, against 12,000. The math was simple and terrible. Admiral stood beside her, calm as always. The old warrior had seen many battles. Perhaps she knew this would be her last, but she showed no fear. "They expect us to surrender," said quietly. "They expect us to beg for mercy." "Will we?" asked. Smiled. It was a fierce, proud smile. "We are human, we do not beg." The Earth fleet was positioned near Mars. They could not defend Earth directly. The plan was to slow the enemy, to buy time for evacuations, to make the hegemony pay for every inch of space they crossed. It was not a plan for victory. It was a plan for survival. Had a different idea. She had spent the last 6 months studying everything she could about the hegemony, their history, their politics, their secrets, and she had discovered something important. They hated each other almost as much as they hated humanity. The 7 species of the hegemony had been rivals for thousands of years. They only worked together because they feared each other. Each species believed it should rule the alliance. Each species remembered old wars and old betrayals. The had conquered the had enslaved the had destroyed the centuries of blood and anger held together only by mutual suspicion. Had collected evidence of all of it, secret recordings, hidden documents, proof of lies and treachery going back generations. And now, as the hegemony fleet prepared to attack, she was ready to use it. She walked to the communication station. A young officer named Park sat there, his fingers moving across the controls. He had been her friend for 5 years now, more than a friend if she was honest with herself. There had never been time to explore what was between them. Now there might never be. She said, "I need you to open a channel, all frequencies, all hegemony ships." He looked at her with surprise, then understanding, then trust. "Ready when you are." Closed her eyes and gathered her power. This would be the greatest telepathic effort of her life. She would broadcast not just sound and image but emotion, memory, truth that could not be. She opened her eyes, now. Her image appeared on every screen in the hegemony fleet. A blue-skinned woman wearing a human military uniform. The lost princess, the hybrid traitor, the one they had come to destroy. But she was not afraid, and when she spoke in 7 languages at once. "Listen to me," she said. "All of you. I am going to show you what your leaders have hidden. I am going to show you the truth about your glorious alliance." And then she unleashed everything she had found. She showed the proof that they had poisoned their emperor 50 years ago. She showed the recordings of leaders planning their genocide. She showed the evidence that there had been sold to them for political favors. Secret after secret after secret, pouring out in a flood of truth that no one could ignore. The effect was immediate. The hegemony fleet stopped its advance. Ships began turning toward each other. Communication channels exploded with accusations and denials. 3 cruisers opened fire on a command ship, broke formation entirely and began attacking vessels. Admiral watched the chaos with wide eyes. "What did you do?" "I reminded them who they really are," said. "Enemies pretending to be allies." But not all the hegemony ships were fighting each other. Almost half the fleet remained focused on Earth, and half of 12,000 was still 6,000, still far too many. All ships ordered, "Attack." The Battle of Mars began. Had never seen real war before. She had trained for it, planned for it, prepared for it, but nothing could prepare anyone for the reality. The soul's pride shook with every impact. Explosions lit up the darkness. Human ships died by the dozens, their crews fighting to the last moment. But they took the enemy with them. Human weapons, designed with help to exploit hegemony weaknesses, tore through alien shields. Human pilots flew with desperate courage into the teeth of enemy fire. Human soldiers boarded enemy ships and fought hand to hand in the corridors. Led a squadron of small attack fighters. They were called the Ghost Wings, experimental ships that could avoid enemy sensors. Their mission was to destroy the hegemony flagship, the massive dreadnought that commanded the remaining enemy forces. Watched their signals on the tactical display, 12 ships at the start, 11, 9, 7. The numbers kept falling as the squadron pushed deeper into enemy territory. His voice came through the communication system, broken with static. "We're almost there, but we're not going to make it back." "No. Listen to me. We knew this might happen. We accepted it. Just promise me something." Tears ran down his face. "Anything. Win, survive, make this worth something." The Ghost Wings hit the enemy flagship. 12 small ships against one massive dreadnought. The explosion was visible from Mars. The hegemony command structure collapsed. Without their flagship, without coordination, the remaining enemy ships began to retreat. They had lost almost 4,000 ships to infighting and battle. They had failed to reach Earth. But the human fleet had lost 600 ships. Thousands of soldiers were dead, and fell to her knees on the bridge, her body shaking with grief. Knelt beside her, putting a gentle hand on her shoulder. "He is not dead," said softly. "We detected an escape pod, badly damaged, but the life signs are there. We are sending a rescue team now." Hope cut through the grief, looked up, hardly daring to believe. "He is alive." Barely, but alive. On Earth, the celebrations had already begun. The impossible had happened. Humanity had faced the greatest power in the galaxy and survived. They had not won, but they had not lost. And for now, that was enough. But knew this was not over. The hegemony would return. They would be more careful next time, more united. The secrets she had revealed would not work twice. In a hospital in Seoul, she sat beside's bed. He was covered in bandages, connected to machines that kept him breathing. The doctors said he might never walk again, but he was alive. She held his hand and watched him sleep. "I promise," she whispered, "I will make this worth something. I will find a way to end this war, not just for Earth, for everyone." That night, a message arrived from beyond hegemony space. It came from a hidden location, using codes that only the royal family would know. "The throne awaits," the message said. "If you have the courage to claim it, we can help you end this. Find us." Read the message 3 times. Then she stood up, looked out the window at the stars, and made her decision. The war had only begun, and she would see it through to the end. The small fleet left Earth on a cold morning in March. 5 ships carrying 300 people, traveling into unknown space beyond the borders of the hegemony. Their mission was simple but dangerous: find the loyalists who had sent the message and build an alliance that could challenge the Empire. Stood on the bridge of the lead ship, the New Dawn, watching Earth grow smaller behind them. She had said her goodbyes the night before, had cried and made her promise to come back. Still recovering from his injuries, had held her hand and told her he would be waiting. Had simply hugged her and said, "I am proud of you. I have always been proud of you." Now she was leaving everything she loved behind. She did not know if she would ever return. The journey was long. 3 years of traveling through empty space, hiding from hegemony patrols, following coded messages that led them deeper into the unknown. The crew learned to live in the small ships. They grew food in hydroponic gardens. They trained for combat. They studied everything they could about thee and their history. Used the time to master her powers fully. Without the need to hide anymore, she pushed herself every day. Telepathy, telekinesis, the ability to interface directly with any technology, that had evolved these abilities over millions of years, had only begun to understand what she was capable of. Among the crew was a young engineer named. He was only 22, born after the first hegemony threats began. His generation had grown up knowing war was coming. They were different from the older humans, harder in some ways, more hopeful in others. "Why did you join this mission?" asked him once during a quiet watch on the bridge. Smiled, "Because I believe in you. We all do. You showed us that one person can make a difference, that choosing to be brave matters." "I did not feel brave," admitted. "I was terrified." "That is what makes it bravery," said, "being scared and doing it anyway." In the second year of the journey, they finally made contact with the Loyalists. A single ship met them at a hidden location between 2 dead stars. On board was an elder, ancient beyond human years, with silver hair and eyes that had seen centuries pass. Her name was. She had been a servant in the royal palace whence parents were murdered. She had helped smuggle the infant princess onto the escape ship that would crash on Earth. For 30 years, she had been building a resistance in secret. "You are smaller than I expected," said when they first met, "but your heart is larger, I can feel it." Took them to the Loyalist base, hidden on a frozen moon at the edge of the galaxy. There were only a few thousand there, survivors of the purges that had followed the royal family's murder. They lived in underground cities, preserving the old ways, waiting for the day they could return. Began her true education. Taught her the history of the real history that the current government had tried to erase. Long ago, they had been protectors of the galaxy, using their powers to help weaker species, to maintain peace, to guide civilizations toward growth. They had been beloved. Then the warrior clans had seized power. They had turned the into conquerors instead of protectors. They had built the hegemony on fear and violence. The royal family had tried to restore the old ways, That was why they had been killed. Your parents died trying to bring peace, told her. Their dream lives in you now. But was not gentle with her. She tested constantly, physical challenges, mental battles, moral questions with no easy answers. You love humans, said one day after a particularly difficult session. Can you love them enough to become something they might fear, to take power that could corrupt you, to be a queen when you only want to be a daughter? Thought about this for a long time, and finally she found her answer. I do not need to stop being human to be, she said. My humanity is not weakness. It is my greatest strength. My father taught me that love is stronger than fear. My sister taught me that family is chosen, not born. My people taught me that ordinary courage can shake the stars. Smiled. It was the first true smile had ever seen from her. Now you understand. This is why you are the true heir, not because of your blood but because of your heart. In the third year, word came from Earth. It was voice on the recording, broken with grief. Passed away last night. He was not sick, he was not in pain, he just went asleep and did not wake up. He was smiling. I think he was dreaming of Mom and of you. Listened to the message alone in her quarters. She played it 3 times. Then she cried. She cried for hours, mourning the man who had found her in the wreckage of a crashed ship, who had chosen to be her father, who had protected her and loved her when the entire galaxy wanted her dead. When the tears stopped, something new had taken their place. Not anger, not despair, but resolution, a cold, clear certainty about what she had to do. She gathered the loyalists together, 3,000, most of them elderly, none of them soldiers, and she spoke to them. The hegemony has millions of ships, billions of soldiers. We cannot defeat them in battle, but we do not need to. Empires do not fall because of armies. They fall because of ideas. They fall because ordinary people stop being afraid. They fall because one person makes a choice that inspires another and another and another. She looked at each of them, human crew and loyalists together. My father was a firefighter. He ran into burning buildings to save strangers. He had no special powers, no royal blood. He was just a man who believed that every life mattered. And because of that belief, he saved me. He changed everything. She raised her hand toward the stars. We are going to do what he did. We are going to show every enslaved species in the galaxy that empires can fall. That one person's choice can matter. I am proof. My father was proof. And now we will make the whole galaxy understand. The loyalists cheered. Human and voices mixed together, raised in hope and determination. Approached afterward, her ancient eyes shining with tears. Your father would be proud, she said. I know, replied. I can feel him with me. I will carry him wherever I go. The fleet left the loyalist base a week later. They were still small, still outmatched, still facing impossible odds. But they were not afraid anymore. And that, new, was how you started a revolution. One choice at a time, one heart at a time, until the whole galaxy remembered what it meant to be free. Did not attack the hegemony with weapons. She attacked them with something far more dangerous, hope. For 2 years, her small fleet traveled from system to system, visiting worlds that had lived under hegemony control for centuries. She went to planets where entire species had forgotten what freedom meant. She went to places where children were taught that serving the empire was the only purpose worth having. And on each world, she told her story. The tale of an alien baby who crashed on a primitive planet called Earth, the firefighter who chose to save her, the community of ordinary humans who protected her, the family that taught her love was stronger than blood and courage was stronger than fear. She did not come as a conqueror. She came as proof that another way was possible. The effect spread slowly at first, then faster. On the planet, workers refused to mine the crystals that powered hegemony weapons. On Prime, soldiers laid down their arms and demanded to know why they were fighting. On a dozen worlds, then 100, then 1,000, the message traveled from person to person. The empire was not invincible. The hegemony could be questioned. The old ways could change. The current government watched their control slipping away. They sent assassins. Allies stopped them. They sent propaganda. The truth spread faster than lies. They sent threats. The people had stopped being afraid. Finally, the Council of War demanded a final confrontation. They challenged to single combat according to the ancient traditions of her people. One battle to decide the fate of the nation. If she won, she would have the right to claim the throne. If she lost, her movement would die with her. Accepted. The duel took place on itself, the she had never seen. The planet was beautiful and terrible, covered in crystal cities and ancient forests, the air thick with the psychic presence of billions of minds. Felt the weight of history pressing down on her as she walked into the arena. Her opponent was the greatest warrior the council could find. His name was, and he had never lost a battle in 300 years. He was tall and powerful, his blue skin marked with the scars of countless victories. He looked at with cold contempt. "You are not," he said. "You were raised by animals on a dying world. You have no right to stand here." "I have every right," replied. "Not because of my blood, but because I choose to be here, because I represent something you have forgotten, because I still know what it means to love." The battle began. Was faster than her, stronger, more experienced. His telepathic attacks crashed against her mind like waves against a cliff. His physical strikes forced her back again and again. Within minutes was bleeding from a dozen wounds. But she did not fall, and she did not fight back with violence. Instead, she opened her mind completely. She let see everything, every memory she had, every moment of her human life. She showed him teaching her to ride a bicycle, running alongside her, catching her when she fell. She showed him braiding her hair before school, telling her she was beautiful even when other children called her a monster. She showed him holding her hand during the darkest night of the siege, promising her that tomorrow would come. She showed him the taste of her grandmother's kimchi on New Year's morning, the smell of ocean air the sound of her father laughing at one of his own bad jokes. Small moments, human moments, the things that made life worth living. Stopped his attacks. He stood frozen, his silver eyes wide, his mouth open. In 300 years of existence, he had never felt anything like this. "What is this?" he whispered. "This is why I fight," said. "This is what every person in the galaxy deserves. Not power, not conquest, just this: family, love, belonging." Tears ran down his face. He had been born to war, raised to serve the Empire. He had never known tenderness. He had never been held simply because someone cared. "I did not know," he said. We have forgotten so much." He lowered his weapons. He knelt before, not in submission but in understanding. "I yield," he said, "not to your power but to your truth." The arena was silent. Billions of minds had witnessed what showed. They had felt what he felt. And in that moment, something changed in all of them. The hegemony did not fall that day. Empires do not collapse in a single moment. But the shattering had begun. In the months that followed, species after species from the Alliance, worlds that had been conquered reclaimed their freedom. The great machine of control and oppression that had dominated the galaxy began to break apart. Refused the throne. She had never wanted power for its own sake. Instead, she helped establish a council of equals with representatives from every species, including humanity. The galaxy would be governed by cooperation, not domination, by choice, not force. It took 5 years to build the new order. 5 years of negotiation, reconstruction, and slow healing. Was at the center of it all, the bridge between worlds, the symbol of what was possible when different peoples chose to understand each other. And then finally she went home. The shuttle landed in on a spring morning. The cherry blossoms were blooming, pink and white against the blue sky. walked down the ramp slowly, her heart beating faster with every step. Was waiting on the landing pad. She was older now, her hair streaked with gray, her face lined with years of joy and sorrow. But her smile was the same as it had always been. They embraced without words. Sisters, not by blood, but by something deeper. By the choice made long ago by a firefighter who decided that an alien child was worth saving. "Welcome home," whispered. "I am sorry it took so long," replied. "You were busy saving the galaxy. I suppose I can forgive you." They laughed together, holding each other tight. Was there too. He walked with a cane now, his old injuries never fully healed. But he was alive. He was waiting. He had kept his promise. Kissed him, and in that kiss was every year of separation, every fear, every hope. "I missed you," she said. "I knew you would come back," he replied. "I never doubted." That evening, visited her father's grave. It was on a hillside overlooking the ocean, the same ocean she had grown up watching from her bedroom window. The sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and gold. She placed a small crystal beside the flowers that had left. The crystal contained a recording of her voice, speaking in both Korean and saying everything she had never been able to say while he was alive. Then she stood there in silence, watching the sun go down, feeling the wind on her face. "You found a broken alien child in the wreckage," she said softly. "You could have walked away. You could have let them take me, but you chose to see a daughter. You chose love over fear." She looked up at the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Human and alien ships flew together now, carrying people who had once been enemies toward a future they would build together. That choice echoed across the stars. It shattered empires. It saved worlds. It changed everything. She touched the gravestone gently. And it all started because one man decided that love was stronger than fear. One ordinary man. One impossible choice. One alien child who learned what it meant to be human. She smiled through her tears. "Thank you for everything, for all of it." The stars shone bright above her. Somewhere out there, a new galaxy was being born. A galaxy of hope and freedom and endless possibility. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth that would carry forever. You do not need to conquer the universe to change it. You just need to love someone enough to try. That was what humanity had taught her. That was what she had taught the stars. And that was why, in the end, love had won.